Brother, I'm going run a wild Hulk Hogan. If I like get some moment, I'll make sure it's an explosion. Cause lately I've been seeing stars, trying to kick out on this joke course. But it's no holds barred, middle fingers like I'm Stone Cold.
What is good, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Slapping Me to Wrestling podcast. I'm your host, WeTooDeep. As always, this is the solo episode. If you want to go back and check Tuesday's episode with me and Wavy D, definitely go back and watch or listen to that episode. Today we are going to do some more reviews. This is going to be sort of the show that I'm not the biggest fan of doing review shows. I'm not going to sit here and read from 18,000 pages of notes like some who do wrestling podcasts do, but we are going to review Double or Nothing. I want to give my whole experience of watching that. And then we're going to talk about NXT from this past Tuesday, as well as we cover Double or Nothing, talk about Dynamite as well. So we're going to save NXT for last. Typically, I start with NXT. I want to save it for last. Let's go ahead and jump into the AEW review for today. So Double or Nothing. So I made the decision really the day of that I'm going to tag along and watch this with a group of friends that were going. And they, because even AEW fans don't like paying the $50 for the pay-per-view. They really don't. And so AEW does this thing where, like, sometimes they'll play it in movie theaters. Sometimes, they'll play it at, like, bars or whatever. And they aired this at Dave & Buster's. Now, when they told me they were going to Dave & Buster's to watch AEW, I already had some reservations for how this experience was going to go. And those reservations were this. There's no way you're getting audio. There's no way in hell you're getting audio at Dave & Buster's, right? You had the Mavs game, the Mavs, Timberwolves, I think it was game 2 or 3 was on. You had the NASCAR race in Charlotte, where I lived, that the race was in the city, and those who couldn't get tickets because it did sell out, they go to the bars to watch, right? And so there was no way we were going to get audio for this show. If you got more than one TV, you were lucky. I can't imagine many people go to Dave & Buster's to sit here and watch an AEW pay-per-view. And so we get there, and I'm told they have a reservation, and I told everyone in this group, like, hey, let's make sure we're all here when we go in so that they don't try to play some stupid shit. Because you know how some of these places are. If you don't have your whole party, they won't sit you or whatever, right? Just try to not to be problematic. Now, apparently, Sunday is the slow day for Dave & Buster's, so they run Skeleton Crew. So is what we were told. And I'll just say this, Dave & Buster's. If you're going to offer the pay-per-view at we were told that they used to do like a cover charge for the group, like $20 or whatever. I think it was like $2 per person or whatever. But they stopped doing it because people just didn't show up. And so it wasn't really worth that hassle of collecting a cover charge for things that people didn't come to anyway. And so they had it on, but it was on one of the smaller TVs in the corner, and they wouldn't sit us over in the corner because, like I said, it was Skeleton Crew. And if you've ever worked a restaurant, you kind of understand this issue. We were eventually able to get them to put it on the TV in front of us. But like I said, no audio. And so it made for an interesting watching experience, in that the in-ring work wasn't enough to keep my attention over watching Luca put up how many ever points he put up, right? And so My review of this show is more so going to be on the results. I don't think there was any match in there that blew me away. Um, I know the Serena Deeb Tony Storm match was actually really good. But even like they start the show with Osprey against Roddy, and this was a match I thought maybe could carry the show. And this is why you start with this match so that you carry the energy through. And I just it to me it felt off. The timing felt off. There didn't seem to be a lot of chemistry, and it wasn't as good of a match as I think it should have been. The result though of Osprey winning the title, I like the decision. I like the decision. However, I don't like how I don't like what they did on Dynamite, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But I like the decision to put Osprey as champion here. Here's why. No one cared. No one cared about Roddy Strong or this title while Roddy Strong was champion. And no one had any cares about it. What you do is you put this belt. What you did was you put it on the probably the best wrestler on your roster, probably one of the top 3 wrestlers in the entire world, and he can go out and week in and week out have open challenges for this belt, defend it, build the prestige, and then as you build the prestige, similar to what you did with Gunther in WWE, right? As you build that prestige, now you can have him drop it. He doesn't, it doesn't hurt him to drop it, but it benefits. It gives that super big push to the person who beats him for it, right? No matter who it is. And so I like the decision. However, if we can revert back to Dynamite, because I'm going to mix it in with, you have him win this title, you have him give this promo about how he's going to make the title prestigious, exactly how I would do it. But then you go out and have him win on Dynamite, the main event, number 1 contendership for the world title, to where now at Forbidden Door, Swerve's going to face, it's going to be a champion versus champion match. As if you're not copying Logan Paul, because I know this is going to come up. Oh, well, you're complaining about this, but no. Logan Paul should not have challenged Cody Rhodes. It should not have happened. And like I said on Tuesday, I don't even think the match was all that good. I don't like this booking, because if you just wanted Osprey to be in the title picture, why have him win this title when he could have just come out and won the number 1 contendership? Like, and I'll just say this about Dynamite, because I really don't have a lot to say about Dynamite. All I'll say is I'm lost. You lost me. This I know you're building for Forbidden Door, but especially during this main event where you were having all this talent that most people don't know, right? And everyone will just look them up. No one knows what a CMLL is. No one knows half of these New Japan wrestlers, right? And so, I'm sorry, it didn't do it for me. You lost me. I had no idea what the hell was going on during that main event. The rest of the show was a blur to me. Honestly, can't really tell you anything that happened other than, the only angle that was kind of interesting was it looked like they were going to make Jack Perry champion, and then what's his name? Christopher Daniels came out and was like, "No, I've been named like interim vice president or whatever the hell his new title is in this story that Tony gave him." And now they're going to create some sort of tournament or ladder match for this title. Again, seemingly trying to copy what we're doing in NXT with the women's North American. But I plead my case. I know it's hard to be original in wrestling, but yeah, it's interesting, right? If we continue with Double or Nothing, you have, like I said, Tony and Serena seem to be a decent match. I really just didn't care about it. Serena Deeb doesn't do it for me. Neither does really Tony Storm. The only reason when Toni Storm gets on the camera that I really stop and care about is Mariah May. I think she's the star out of this. You have Willow lose to Mercedes, and one of the, when you come off of saying that I'm the best women's wrestler of all time, Mercedes, and you come on and you put on a very mid performance, I'm sorry, it's hard to take you seriously. Right, but it's also hard to take this win seriously when everyone knew it was going to happen because your contract said that you were going to win this title. But also, can we just talk about, like, there's a difference, right? Everyone's always like, oh, she's the best of the four horsewomen, right? And that's, first off, that's just a straight lie from a talent standpoint. But if we look about what the others have given to the business, okay, you can maybe take Charlotte away. Charlotte hasn't really given, but I would say that she gave Rhea Ripley the prominence that Rhea Ripley has now is because of Charlotte Flair. I thoroughly believe that had, I think it was WrestleMania 36 when she challenged for the NXT championship at WrestleMania. Had that match not happened, I don't think Rhea Ripley would be as big of a star today as she is. And so for that, I think Charlotte gave something to the business. You talk about Bayley making Io and Dakota completely relevant in the last few years. Kairi Sane's now relevant because of it. Bayley has given back to the business as she's continued on through her career. But really the best example of this is Becky Lynch, where just in the last year, she got over Tiffany, she got over Lyra. She helped give Tegan a really good match on Raw. She put on a match against Xia Li that was really good on NXT. A lot of these NXT, women's championship match open challenges that she had really helped put some people on, right? And so Becky Lynch is all about giving back to the business at this point in her career. And then you have Sasha Banks. Then you have Mercedes Moné, same person, right? What have you given back? Honestly, what have you given back to the business? You've given back nothing. All you've done is take. Right? And this was the opportunity, Mercedes, to go on, put on a banger match, and continue to and to put over someone like Willow, who is a major star in the making. But no, you had to take. You ruined her momentum. Completely ruined her momentum. Right? And then the turn happened. Right, now I know what you're going to say. The turn happened because she lost, and this is just part of the story. Why are we hating? No. Listen, the turn could have happened win or loss. Right? Willow wins. They're celebrating on the stage. Statlander could still turn out of jealousy next to challenge for that title, which is what should happen. That's what should have happened. But instead, Mercedes has to take. And then she comes out on Dynamite and gives this promo about how, like, she's the greatest ever, blah 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 blah. And I just, it doesn't do it for me. It doesn't do it for me because she's not as good as she thinks she is. She's not as good as the world in wrestling circles thinks she is. She's not that good. Let's just be honest with ourselves. She's not that good. And when it comes to legacy, she has zero in the business. She hasn't given anything that will last past her career. When Becky Lynch hangs up the boots, she can, whether it's now because her contract ends tomorrow. I'm recording this on Friday, May 31st. So her contract ends tomorrow, Saturday, June 1st. Becky Lynch is a free agent. Whether Becky Lynch decides to hang up the boots tomorrow and never wrestle again, or if she goes a few more years, whenever she decides to hang up the boots, she can look back at her career and say, I helped get over Lyra Valkyria. I helped get over Tiffany Stratton. I helped I helped put people on my entire career. Once I made it, right, Liv Morgan is now pushed to a higher stratosphere because she beat Becky Lynch, right? Becky Lynch is given back. Charlotte Flair, when she hangs up the boots, can look back and say, I probably helped make what is maybe going to be the greatest women's wrestler of all time when her career is done in Rhea Ripley. In terms of gimmick, promo work, ring work, championships, Charlotte's got a lot of that, but there's competition in Rhea, and she helped make Rhea. Bayley, when she hangs up the boot, she can look back and say, you remember Damage Control and that story and how I put them over, and I also helped get Bianca to a higher level of where people enjoyed her work, right? But then Sasha hangs up the bang. Sasha hangs up the boots, and all she has is the bag. All she has is the money. She doesn't have anything past that, right? And I don't think that she wants to have that. I think, personally, I feel like all she wants is for people to view her the way she views herself. And it's very selfish to me, because you really could have built a star in Willow here. Like, Mercedes, we know who you are. Like, you're a big name. The problem also with this is a lot of the big names that the more casual fans may be able to recognize, why are they not in the world title picture? Why is it Toni Storm? Why is she fighting Serena Deeb and Mariah May? Why are they in this picture? But someone like Mercedes, Deanna, Britt Baker, where the hell is she? Like, some of the more popular names in the company, the bigger names that could give you some star power, why are they fighting for the mid card? Why is Deanna fighting on the pre-show with Thunder Rosa? That makes no sense to me. Right? Mercedes, I'm fine if you go and earn yourself a world title situation, but to just come in and to do a month, 2 month, 3 month I don't even know how long it's been at this point, and then your first match in this, you right, and now you're going into a feud against Sky Blue, which I guess maybe you could say you could try. This is her trying to put over someone, but is she going to lose to Sky Blue? I don't know, man. It just feels super selfish to me. That's just how I take it. Some other things that really stood out to me here. The not having audio hurt for one match in particular, and that was Orange Cassidy versus Trent Beretta. One of the matches that I was actually looking forward to watching. And the finish was kind of weird, kind of crazy. Trent did pick up the win, which I thought was going to happen. Or excuse me, Orange picked up the win, which I thought was going to happen. And then Trent sort of walked off, and he said something. And when I went back to check out, the clips on Twitter, he said something like, "I'm done" or whatever. So that's an interesting statement. Jericho retains, which I thought was, I don't understand this hatred for Jericho, man. I don't. Actually, I do. I understand it 100%. It's this idea that first off, he leans a little bit differently in a different direction than the IWC politically. And for whatever reason, wrestling fans cannot just enjoy wrestling without bringing in politics. It's part of who they are, right? They always have to be like, they do the same thing with Kane, right? Kane is the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee, right? Where Knoxville is, and he's definitely, his political views align nothing like what the average wrestling fan does. And anytime, like, he's the mayor, so he's supposed to talk politics on his personal Twitter because he's the mayor, right? That's kind of his job, right? He's supposed to give them updates and tell what he stands for and stuff like, right? That's his job. And I don't understand, if you don't like the guy, if you don't like his politics, why are you following his political page? I don't get it. I don't get it. Right. And so, like you could see this all the time. Anytime Kane or Glenn Jacobs is his real name, whenever he posts something, all these wrestling fans are like, I can't believe you were ever one of my favorites. You took way too many like, bro, if you don't like his stuff, just move on, right? And same thing with Jericho here. He's a little bit different politically viewing. And then I also think a lot of it has to do with this accusation of sexual misconduct not yet proven. And so personally for me, until he's proven guilty, the fuck I'm over here trying to judge him for. Now, once he's proven guilty, sure, get him out of the business. But the hell I'm going to prove until he's proven in a court of law to have done misconduct. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, he's this, that. No, I don't know what he did or what he didn't do. But I tell you something, this learning tree gimmick, it's kind of annoying, but it's also kind of funny. And I kind of enjoy it, right? And I'm actually kind of glad he won this match. I'll be honest with you. Like, honestly, because it hurts the IWC's feelings so much that Jericho's a champion and he's sort of making fun of them in this gimmick, I'm hoping he continues to win. I hope he continues to be on TV every single week just to piss off the IWC, just to do it. Tony, this is the greatest thing you could do is continue to piss off your core audience by putting Jericho on TV. I love it. Continue to do it, Tony. Speaking of Tony, bro, you got your ass dragged out to the ring by Jack Perry during this Anarchy match, and we'll get to that in a minute. Some of the other things, the world title match. Well, I actually didn't get to watch it. I heard it because Junkyard James from the Beyond the Junkyard podcast and Cody we were watching with. So back to Dave and Buster's. So we knew the pay-per-view wasn't going to end to about 12:30, but Dave and Buster's closes at 12 on Sundays, and they shut the TVs off at 11:45, right? So we didn't get to see the last few matches, and so I don't know how good the world title match was. I heard it was decent. I know Swerve is still champion, and that's really all I want to talk about is, okay, good decision. Swerve is still champion. But now what? And the now what is we're going into Forbidden Door and you're facing Will Ospreay, which should have been a match saved for Wembley when there was actually time for Will to build himself up as someone that could be a champion. But instead, you're pushing this bullet for Forbidden Door that doesn't need to be there. Right? I think this is too quickly to put Ospreay versus Strickland. I really believe it's too early. But let's talk about Anarchy in the arena. Well, before we get there, there's a match we have to talk about, and that's Malachi Black versus Adam Copeland. Really fun match at the start. Everything that you thought it was going to be, right? Then, the Edge came down with the Brood entrance. So I already knew, right? Let's just go ahead and get this out of the way. Everyone should have figured out Gangrel was going to be here. The Brood entrance with the Brood written on the Tron. Notice it's not Titantron in AEW because Titantron is copyrighted by WWE. I didn't realize that. Let me just tell you that story real quick. I thought the actual name for the screen was the Titantron. And so anywhere there was a screen, I would always say, look, the Titantron, and everyone would look at me crazy, right? It only into probably 2-3 years ago that I realized that it was named the Titantron because it was Titan Towers, right? And that was sort of the name of the company's thing, and it was copyrighted, and it's actually not what that thing is called. And so, yeah. Anyway, we'll move forward. But the Tron had the Brood written on it, right? And he came out with a new song and a new look, and you know how he did this sort of entrance in WWE, but there was no Gangrel. This is that story came out again around this time, around the event, about how he pushed and pushed and pushed, and it was denied to have Gangrel there. That the fans wouldn't remember that right, and so to say screw you WWE, what does Tony Khan do? He brings back Gangrel, and Gangrel looked good. He did. He looked good in his spot, right? But we should have known this was coming, right? This isn't something that was like a giant surprise. You should have known this was coming. And then we talk about this spot. We had kind of addressed it on Tuesday, where Adam Copeland, at 50 years old, gets on the top of like a 20-foot cage and tries to do whatever he tried to do. Whatever he did, he failed, and what he ended up doing was breaking his leg. And I said Tuesday, the spot was cool if it would have been performed right, but is it worth the risk of what ended up happening? No, it's not. Like, why is he doing the spot? Why are we allowing Adam Copeland, excuse me, to perform this spot when this is not needed whatsoever? Not needed at all whatsoever. I don't get why this was approved. It was disapproved, right? So now you injure your champion, and to me, if he's hurt, I know you want him to win, and maybe Malachi Black's contract is over. That's the rumor. So maybe that's why you didn't let him, win the title. But I don't know, man. And now you got a vacant TNT championship, and more than likely Jack Perry's going to win it, which I guess is fine. But we'll see how this progresses. I just don't understand that spot, to be honest with you. Anarchy in the arena. Again, I don't really care about it. I'm just going to talk about some of the clips that I saw. Like I said, Tony Khan got his ass dragged from Gorilla all the way out to the stage, and when Perry came back, he then gets lit on fire by a flamethrower. Again, this match, the whole match concept is fucking stupid to me. I just don't get it. I don't like this style of match. There's too much going on. And I just, this is just the hardcore fan sort of like wet dream. And for someone like me, where there's zero story being told and whatever's being done, it just seems like an actual clusterfuck. Which is why I was happy when Justin Roberts announced the match. He said, "Welcome to the shit show," because that's exactly what this is. This was a shit show of a fucking match. None of it made sense. Darby gets fucking ran over by another vehicle. Someone almost got drowned. I don't know what the hell was happening throughout the whole match. This thing was just a bunch of fucking randomness. I don't even remember who won. None of this made any sense. None of this really told a story, and none of this progressed any storyline being told. This was just a bunch of stupid shit to say you did it. And I don't know about it. But if there's no purpose for it on the card, why is it there? Right? So there's your AEW review. Now let's talk about NXT, right? As we're building towards Battleground next weekend, it's a week from this Sunday, so it's the 9th, right? As we're heading towards Battleground, bro, NXT is on fire. NXT has been cooking, right? And last week was kind of a down week for me. It was the same NXT, but it felt a little flat. This week they came out and we debut the title with Sexy Red debuting the title and announcing she's going to be the host. And I'm glad her segment was only like 5 minutes, if that. Because I'm sorry. I have no interest in Sexy Red at all. I don't like her music. I think most modern rap music especially hers, is awful. Her music sucks. There's no, the lyrics suck, but also just sort of the content of the music is it's degrading to everyone who listens to it. It's right. And it doesn't build up. And I'm at a point in my life now where if there's in culture, if we're not building strong culture that actually is productive, then we're destroying culture. And the destruction of culture is going to lead to the destruction of the entire society. Right. And so if you want to cheer on the destruction of society, that's your prerogative. I'm not going to say you can't listen to Sexy Red. I don't. One, because the content and the lyrics are awful. They're degrading. But second, it's just not good music. Musically, it's awful. And so I'm glad that she was only really on TV for a few minutes at the beginning and a few minutes at the end, right? And wasn't a major focus of this whole show. But the second thing I also got to say is Ava Ava proved it again, dog. And I said this on Tuesday when we live reacted to some of the big things that happened. Holy shit, dude. Ava is that dog. Ava is that dog. She is doing work. Right? Shawn Michaels behind the scenes is doing work. Roxanne Perez comes out. Woe is me, blah, blah, blah. All I wanted, I didn't care about Raw. I've never cared about SmackDown. I just wanted my NXT. First off, shut up. This promo makes zero sense. Because you can't tell me there's not a single wrestler on that NXT roster right now that isn't dreaming of the day where they get called up to Raw or SmackDown. You can't tell me, Roxanne, you don't want that call. Especially when like two weeks ago you were, after the draft, how come I wasn't drafted? Right? Come on, Roxanne. Consistency. But so Ava comes out, and Ava means business. Right? Ava means business. We got a competitor for you. And it's not about whether you're a great champion or a good champion or a bad champion. It's will you still be champion after Battleground? Because here's who you're defending against. And I think a lot of people assumed Julia, because that was sort of the rumor. Nah, we got better. Look, Julia's going to be good when she gets there. But we got to save that for a special moment. I'm saving that for SummerSlam weekend. A special moment. We got Jordynne Grace from TNA, the TNA Knockouts champion in NXT. The forbidden door is open in NXT, and guess what? We're doing it better than AEW's doing it. Because AEW opens that door wide open, and everyone and anyone, doesn't matter if they're known or not, doesn't matter if they're special or not, anyone and everyone's coming through that door. Right? You got guys from CMLL that no one's ever heard of in America. You got guys from New Japan that no one's ever heard in America. They're just coming through this open door, and Tony Khan's is going to put them in. He's going to highlight them. He's going to give them 2 or 3 wins, and then he's going to forget about them, send them back. Right? Well, WWE is more selective. We open the door and, we don't want you. We don't want you. Jordynne Grace, come on in. Jordynne Grace comes in and challenges Roxanne Perez. Now, I know the chance of this is not very high. It's not very likely. But imagine Battleground, Las Vegas, Jordynne Grace pins Roxanne Perez to win the NXT Women's Championship. And then the Thursday after, Roxanne Perez shows up on TNA. Imagine someone like Trick Willie showing up on TNA on a Thursday. Right? There needs to be some sort of deal here where TNA can get a larger audience. So, because at this point, a lot of people don't have Access TV. So the only other way we can watch is either through their app where you got to pay for it, or through YouTube where you got to pay for it. Right? If you go to their YouTube channel, you can subscribe to their channel and like pay like I think it's like $1.50 a month or something, and you'll get a delayed episode. It starts at 8:30 on YouTube, and it's sort of delayed. That way they can film it and then put it up there, right? I mean, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But TNA, do me a favor, get off Access. You know, go to see if CW will give you a deal, and you can work a deal with CW and says, hey, Tuesday nights we're going to do NXT on CW. Let's do TNA. It's going to be some of the same stars. Let's do TNA on Thursdays on CW. And we'll do some crossover between the two shows. Imagine Moose showing up and challenging Trick Williams on an NXT. Because this Forbidden Door works a lot better. This TNA invasion, I guess you could say, this TNA insertion into WWE programming works a lot better in NXT because of the audience of it. Like, I don't know how important this Jordan Grace reaction would have been if you did this on a SmackDown, where half the people in the audience and half the people watching probably don't know who she is outside of her Royal Rumble thing, right? But you do it on NXT where it's typically the same audience of people who watch NXT that may tune into TNA, and NXT's audience is a little bit more of the more wrestling smart crowd, the people who know a little bit more about the product and everything outside of WWE, right? This is gonna be fun because now imagine crossover where AJ Styles can go back and have another run as TNA champion to end his career. That will be fun. Imagine, someone like the New Day going down and challenging for the TNA Tag Champions. Just how much of this crossover can you work? And I know it's going to be beneficial for both brands, because when AEW did it with TNA, it was just beneficial for AEW. It really left TNA with really nothing to hold its hat on, and I think that's why they stopped it. It left a very bad taste in their mouth, it felt like. Right? But let's not just talk about TNA, because we got someone else who showed up. We got fucking Ethan Page, dude. Like, Ethan Page. Now let's go back. Let's go back 2019, 2020, Ethan Page. All ego. Tag team partner of Josh Alexander with the North, TNA's best tag team champion. That Ethan Page is the one who showed, right? And in one segment, they made Ethan Page matter more to the NXT crowd than AEW ever made Ethan Page feel special. This dude comes in. I attacked Oro. I attacked Noam. It was me. Whoop that trick. Yeah, I'm about to do it. And he came after the champ. And he feels special. This is the Ethan Page I liked in TNA. Bro, and if you bring Josh Alexander to NXT to tag team with Ethan Page, boy, I'm excited just for that. Right? But let me also tell you, the reaction that Vic Joseph had, the reaction that Booker T had to all of this is why they're my favorite commentary partnership. They have chemistry. They work well together. Vic Joseph, I don't think he's better than, like, one-on-one, Michael Cole's the best. Graves is probably second, but Vic Joseph is very close to second place to me. He's become one of the best announcers in the industry. And he needs that props. Vic Joseph is fucking wonderful. And in one night, you bring me Jordan Grace, you bring me Ethan Page, you bring me, we finish out this tournament. And the only real shocking thing to me in this, to determine the 6 women to take place in this ladder match, is that Meechin beat Tatum Paxley, which isn't really a surprise that much. But I kind of assumed, like, I got 5 out of 6 of my predictions right. Tatum was the only one I didn't get right. When they announced the 12 superstars, go back, I told you we're probably going to have, Kalani and Lash and Jada and Soul and Fallon. And then I said Tatum. Well, the only one I got wrong was Tatum. It's the only one I got wrong. And so that kind of surprised me here. I'm actually kind of happy for Meechin. I'm happy. So they sort of just moved the OC down to NXT, and I think they could stay there. I think they'll fit well. I really do. And so if I had to make, again, we'll make a prediction on next week's episode of the next solo episode next week. We'll do NXT Battleground predictions. But sort of spitballing right now. I mean, Soul's still my favorite. But I always try to take a look at, like, okay, what stories are we going to build here? And I think Kalani and Fallon, they've already sort of started a story, and I think they'll continue it. I don't know. I'm trying to think here. Meechin, I don't know if she's a heel or a face. In down here, what their long-term plans for her being down here. There's a lot of heels in this match. Jada's a heel. Lash is a heel technically, but she's sort of becoming that baby face. I feel that they're going to rip her out of Metaphor. Fallon's a heel. Meechin, I don't know. So Kalani and Soul are the only faces. And then I guess you could consider Lash a face. So it is kind of 3-3. And so Kalani versus Fallon, I guess Lash versus Jada could be a feud that we get out of this. Who knows? This would be interesting to find out. Yeah, NXT was good, but NXT is only going to be really remembered by the people who showed up, those surprises. And look, guess what? None of this was spoiled. This was held under wraps, right? If this was AEW, Tony Khan would have probably told all the press, hey, guess what? So-and-so is happening. This is happening, right? No Sean Ross Sapp, no Dave Meltzer, no dirt sheet reported on any of these people showing up. This is the way wrestling should be. And you saw the response of it. It was complete shock that this happened. This is how wrestling should be. We don't need a Sean Ross Sapp ruining surprises. We just don't need. And if you require that type, and if you pay for that, you're an idiot. I'm sorry. If you pay to hear Sean Ross Sapp tell you everything we find out in real time, right? Like, he reports something and, like, he'll tell you something, and, like, 3 minutes later, we already knew about it. Like you're paying for this. Come on now. Stop buying into this. If you're paying for Sean Ross Sapp, it's Patreon. You're an idiot. Yeah. I don't know what else to say. Honestly, that's how I feel about that one. But NXT Battleground is going to be a banger. I already feel it. The card is looking good. We got a Battleground match with Shayna and Lola. That's going to be a banger. Aura versus one of the coffees. Is it Joe? I don't actually know. One of the guys from Gallus, and then Wesley, right? which is going to be fun. That's going to be a real fun match. Jordan Grace versus Roxanne. The ladder match, Trick, I think may have we may even get Trick versus Ethan Page, which would be fun. This thing with Lexus King right now is really fun. I like Lexus King. I really do. I think it was Victim. He really is a loose cannon. I love that type of stuff where they shout out, where it's really only stuff that that if you know about wrestling, you wouldn't care about that if you didn't know wrestling, right? And I think you can get away with these type of commentary comments in the NXT crowd, right? But the casual fan who didn't watch his dad, Brian Pillman, and didn't know that he was the loose cannon Brian Pillman, you wouldn't have caught on to that comment. But right, and so I like that type of stuff. That made me pop. And so we'll end this show there. We don't have a react to it today. Because we basically just reacted to a whole bunch of stuff. And so we'll pick that back up next week. But until then, I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. SmackDown is tonight. See what the fallout is there. They got to bring the heat because we're all cooking right now. And SmackDown's sort of like sitting on that back burner. And so, Raw was cooking this week. NXT was cooking this week. SmackDown, you can't disappoint. But until then, I'll see you guys in the next episode of the Slap and Meat Wrestling Podcast. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Tuesday.
Brother, I'm going run a wild Hulk Hogan. If all I get's a moment, I'll make sure it's an explosion. 'Cause lately I've